Hi everyone, thanks for watching. The video you are about to enjoy reflects my opinion and my opinion only, and does not reflect the views of the wonderful staff at the Daily Beacon or anyone associated with the University of Tennessee. Welcome to Socialized. Now I'm still Jarrod Nelson, so if you're looking for another host, you will probably be very disappointed. But hey, I'm a cheap date, and the Beacon doesn't have to pay me anything, so it's a win-win for all of us here. See, there was originally going to be another show here. It was all about religious liberty laws, and it was around 2,000 words long. But after talking with some wonderful people and looking at some terrible pictures, I decided to scrap that show. Because this is more important, and it's something that is happening right now. It affects us all more. And maybe that other show will get made one day. But right now, I needed to talk about diversity. And I'm sorry if you won't be laughing as much. And this is sad, because it isn't anything new. It's part of a larger war the state legislature has been waging against this campus for a really long while now. It goes all the way back to that fight against Sex Week 2 years ago. Do you remember that? That was when the state legislature learned that consenting adults have sex, and that there's this crazy idea that we should educate them on how to be safe about it. Sure, Sex Week had penis costumes and BDSM seminars, but that stuff is either A, pretty funny, or B, even more necessary to educate on due to the ability to so easily abuse it. The point is that realization led to the constant scrutinizing of every line in every student program description, and to an attempt to kill all student programming, whether penis costumes were involved or not. Now, more recently, it's taken on new forms. A few months ago, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion put out a list of commonly used gender-neutral pronouns. It wasn't a mandate to use them, and it wasn't a new university policy. But thanks to a certain news network that poetically rhymes with schmuck schmooze, the state legislature lost their minds and pretended that your right to be called she or he was taken away by some Satan-loving liberals. Of course, in response to this outcry, the university caved, and the list was taken down. And then came Christmas time, every Satan-loving liberal's favorite time to wage war, according to that certain news network and a certain news anchor on that network whose name poetically rhymes with Fish O'Freilly. Around this time, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion put out a reminder that, hey, not everyone in the world is Christian, so let's keep the silent nights to a minimum at your raging holiday party. Now, this wasn't a mandate, and it wasn't a new university policy. But, offended by the idea that some people don't celebrate Christmas, the state legislature went crazy and threatened to defund the office entirely. That's a threat they made good on last week. In a vote of 66 to 22, the Tennessee State House approved a bill that bars any state funds from going to the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Of course, this office already does not receive any federal funds, so there's no dice from the big guys. And the House version included a provision that would send $100,000 of the now freed up money to print decals that say, "In God We Trust," on police cars. Luckily, this provision didn't make it into the final reconciled bill approved Thursday night, which stands for 1 year and says nothing about how far they'll go when we have this fight again next year. But it still proves this point, that these are petty, petty people. And it is so clear that this is just petty partisan politics. Now, I'll be putting the spotlight on a few different people. First, on Representative Joe Armstrong, who stood up for the office and decried the constant micromanaging of UT's budget. He's everything I want it to be, so thanks, Joe. Now, on a different note, here's Representative James Van Huss. He's the prime sponsor of the bill, and he graduated with a degree in computer science from Pensacola Christian College, so everything about him makes sense. Send James your love at 615-741-1717 or micah.vanhuss@capitol.tn.gov. Then there's the Senate version of the bill, which passed rather quickly after leaving the House, leaving our only hope in a veto from Governor Haslam. Now for this, I'd love to congratulate Senator Todd Gardenhire for ignoring the pleas of every person involved in this issue on campus and ramming through a bill no one affected by it actually wants. He also made sure to point out that there's consequences to everything in life, and they, meaning UT students, need to learn that. I'm not exactly sure what we did to deserve this beyond actually fulfill the mission of the office, but please, let him know you learned your lesson. Send him all your thanks for teaching it at 615-741-6682 or todd.gardenhire@capitol.tn.gov. Now, in response to this vote, students were naturally furious because it affects us and we understand what this office does on our campus and how a school that is ranked the 14th least friendly in the country towards LGBT people might need an office of diversity. Thus, those students organized a massive class exit and protest and marched to presidential court, where they continued to protest. Now, upon arriving there, several Confederate flags were draped out of windows, finally settling once and for all that the Confederate flag is not about Southern pride, since the protest wasn't about attacking the merits of cornbread or Cracker Barrel. So thanks for clearing that up, you hateful, racist, spineless freshmen. And if you ever wanted to prove the point of your opposition more, you'd probably need to be down there protesting yourselves. But this goes deeper than that. Sure, we've seen Confederate flags draped out of windows, and KKK chalked into the ground by the torchbearer. And while it is a culture problem, it is now being legislated down to us too. Because in addition to this defunding, we have seen shocking laws passed through the state legislature with relatively small responses. The General Assembly recently passed a law allowing therapists to turn away gay patients if they religiously disagree with their lifestyle, which is so horrific I can barely squeak it out. And Governor Haslam was just last week forced to veto a bill attempting to make the Bible the state book, alongside such other state icons as the mockingbird, which is the state bird, the tulip, the state flower, and the Barrett 50 cal, which is our way of overcompensating for losing the Civil War. Now, speaking of guns, last week the Assembly also passed a bill allowing professors to carry guns on campus, even though 87% of the faculty strongly disagree with the idea that allowing guns on campus would make campus safer. Now, while defending this bill, its sponsor, Senator Mike Bell, said he hopes that the bill will give UT a chance to hire some conservative teachers if we have a mass exodus of some of these liberals who responded to this, because he wants to sound like more of a stereotype than he already looks. You see, these are petty, petty people. Maybe I am a little bit too. Now, I don't know if I've ever been less proud to be a Tennessee Vol than when I saw pictures of those flags. It shocks and saddens me that people can actually be full of such hate towards groups of people who, after being historically marginalized, are finally at a point in society where they can voice their concerns without being beaten, hanged, or persecuted for it, and only sometimes at that. And it shocks and saddens me even more that it's mainly those hateful, backwards people whose views are being represented in the state government. The torchbearer's creed is short and simple. One that beareth a torch shadoweth oneself to give light to others. Others has no qualifiers there. It means anyone. At this university, we are supposed to be about volunteering, about representing the maligned and giving light to those historically cast in darkness. It's not about majority rule. It's about minority acceptance. And this is the message of one of our oldest traditions. And someone recently chalked KKK onto it. I think what I'm trying to say is that we need to start holding people accountable for this sort of thing. So please, call those numbers, write those emails, go to this website and look up your representative's voting record. Or email Governor Haslam, who can still veto this bill right here, or tweet at him right here, and let him know what you think. Because in the end, given how these votes went, those of us that are concerned about this issue are apparently the minority in this state. And we are all going to need to be torchbearers. Thank you. Hi everyone, thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can check down below for all the sources used in this story so you can keep up with it as it develops. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.